Good morning. It's Harvey Jackson at HC Grain Marketing. Just going to go through the Manitoba crop conditions and expand that a little bit as well. The 7-day accumulated precipitation map, it does have east actually getting a fair bit of rain and a little bit into central and some pockets as well that got some rain. Lower accumulations for the last 7 days. Whew, that's great. Total accumulated precipitation, there's some pretty big numbers on here, of course. You're getting pretty wet in that central and east areas as well. And you can see there's pockets even in the northeast as well that got some high precipitation. So your percent of normal actually has a fair bit of area in the central and in northwest where I live, where we've gotten some high levels of rainfall. So the the, the growing degree days we haven't quite caught up yet. We haven't been getting the heat that Saskatchewan and Alberta has had, and that kind of shows in our growing degree days. Our plants are not quite as advanced and not quite as stressed, but you can see there's some areas that we actually have maybe a little bit of a delay still in our growing, and some of that's later planting. What I did here is actually just look at maybe what Fusarium head blight area, just going back to July 15th, just picking a random date that might have had a fair bit of um, or infection for Fusarium head blight happening. And this is just kind of highlighting uh, where this region could be, and it's starting to get noticed out there already as well. But just something to keep our eye on. Soil moisture, there is pockets that soil moisture is starting to get dry and deficient and very dry. But there's a lot of optimal and a lot of wet areas still on this map. And if you go a little bit deeper, you've got a lot more wet areas as well. So just zooming out and having a look at total accumulation, we've got, the Manitoba area that's got a fair bit of wetness here, and you can see that the north basically has a little bit more total rainfall. So the count of days of precipitation below half a millimeter, it's showing that there's a lot of areas equal, but when you start looking at the count of consecutive days with precipitation below half a millimeter, you've got some regions here that have been they're starting to mature pretty quick. And again, this just shows the consecutive days in the last while. So Edmonton region has gotten some rainfall, and Winnipeg has too. But there's been some days that we haven't consecutively. So here's just total soil moisture. So your drought model, and this is building. So you can see just what all of Saskatchewan is basically with a total soil moisture under 25%, or under 50 as well. So that's a expanding area that's expanding every time they update the model, because they don't update it often. But here we've only 2 days old, and we've got a pretty good picture of this total soil moisture that has gone down. Uh, this here is actually just giving us a little bit of a snapshot of how this temperature is actually going on to a cooling effect. So you can see that into next week we got uh, cooler temperatures in the north, and as it slides down, it's actually getting a little bit more moderate. It still has some uh, quick onset drought scenario that's playing out there as well. Here's your 0 to 5 days temperature. It's hot to the west, central is okay. And as we play that out, it actually starts to cool off substantially in the 5 to 10, and that's what that other animation was showing. Uh, some cooling off pretty quick, and you can see that there's a build to the north, and we'll see how that plays out in 10-15. But it's still, this is cooling off. This is okay for growing conditions for corn and soybeans into the corn and soybean belt. Here's your canola and your snapshot of what the markets are doing. Canola was up 4 to 5. Rapeseed, same. Soybean oil just slightly up. Palm oil was slightly down. Crude oil is up a couple bucks, from its low of 75 that we saw yesterday. Soybeans are up a little bit, so a little bit more green on the screen. Wheats are still trading down a couple cents. So here's your canola chart and showing our downward move of retracement and or upward move of retracement and a downward move, and how they line up. We've got uh, the upward move at 76 and the downward move at 23, right at this $620 value, and it traded slightly below that, now trading above it. So it was critical not to get down to zero, of course, and that still can happen. Here's your rapeseed trading a little higher in that same kind of Fibonacci retracement values. These things do line up as well at the 475, and where the market is currently trading a little bit green on the screen, right at and above that retracement value. Here we are with soybean oil. Almost looks like a couple hammers, which is a terminology for uh, what these candlesticks actually look like. But um, I'm hoping that we can actually bounce off of here and continue to trade up above that 42 cents a pound for that oil. Palm oil has been basically stagnant, going sideways and slightly up. We've got a lot more green on the screen there, but we have to get going and get a little bit higher above that 4100 ringgit area. Here we are, soybeans trading at the bottom end of its full retracement. It's back to some long-term lows. I think it's taken us all the way back to early 2020 or early 2021 values. Here's your crude palm oil, and you can see that we've had a good day to recover from its low. This is where we want it to continue to go down to keep our expenses down and maybe keep our economy going with lower cost, less inflation. Wheat, uh, it's the same story. Here's corn. Corn is king. Corn is pulling us into this downward spiral of long-term lows that we've seen back into the 2021 values in that $4 range. Here's your spring wheat, basically trading on its bottom um, at that $6 mark on the December. Your hard red winter, trading at 565 kind of values right now, and hopefully we can hold there rather than keep leaking lower. Your milling wheat that's getting harvested in Europe is, still not back to its lows that it was in March in that same kind of timeline that we keep showing, and still holding, but still has a downward slope here that you can see. And that's all I have for you today.